As someone that has been the biggest Russell Westbrook to the Lakers hater on YouTube, I can personally say that I saw this coming. Yes, the storyline, Russell Westbrook going to LA, his hometown was perfect, but the fit for him was non-existent. When the Lakers desperately needed shooting, what did they do? They traded their two best three-point shooters that weren't named LeBron James for a guy that cannot shoot past 10 feet. Yes, indeed, that is how championship basketball is played. Oh, and you let one of the best rotation players in Alex Caruso walk because you decided to be cheap. Oh, and you making that Russell Westbrook trade ended up making the Wizards somehow the #1 seed in the East. Oh, and Dennis Schroder embarrassed you on national television. Was it Dennis Schroder's fault that he did not get that contract? Yes, but at this point, let's blame the Lakers for everything. Because this sorry excuse of a team right now has no justification to even talk about why they're even a good team right now. You can make the argument in the past couple games that the Lakers did not have LeBron James, and that's the reason they've been struggling. However, when you built this quote-unquote super team, a super team is supposed to be okay when their best player goes out. However, according to most people, LeBron James is their second best player, so when your second best player goes out, you should be fine. I mean, yeah, you have old Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis, so you cannot trust him to stay healthy, but regardless, you should be good, right? Speaking of the Lakers mishaps, last night they played the Celtics and Dennis Schroder obviously went on a tear on them, and the Boston Celtics ended up winning. Now, even though Dennis Schroder's been playing some really good basketball and Jason Tatum has been struggling for a majority of the season, the Boston Celtics have been struggling just as bad as the Lakers. The only difference is that Boston did not call himself 360 in a super team. The only 360 the Lakers are going to be doing this season is going to be to the retirement home where all these guys came from. I'm sorry, this is not the roast of the Lakers, but the Boston Celtics may be saying something else.
But we just going out here competing, try to get a W, and that's what we did tonight.
Yes, Dennis Schroder, you guys got the W, but this guy who made the graphic is also a W. And yes, just to clarify, this was on national television. This wasn't fake. This was a real graphic that they aired during the game. Imagine getting sauced up by the guy who you were supposed to replace, and then you go to Twitter and you see this. This has to be the most ballsy, most disrespectful thing I've ever seen. Yo, the guy that made that graphic, give him 44 mil, not Russell Westbrook. I can go to my LA Fitness, find a guy that's around 30 that can dunk, and all I have to do is send him on a flight to LA, and bam, I got you a point guard that's playing better than Russell Westbrook. Because a lot of you guys may or may not know this, but Russell Westbrook needs his athleticism. That's the only reason he's effective. Yeah, when you look at his assist numbers, you're thinking, no, he's a playmaker. He's way more than just someone that's going to force feed the ball to his teammates, which is a complete opposite. Now, yes, Russell Westbrook has had his moments this season, but there are very few, and it's gotten so bad that people want him out of LA already that there is a trend going on. It was on Twitter last time I was on there that said trade Russell Westbrook. This was trending on Twitter, and like the title will probably suggest, I am not suggesting that they should trade Russell Westbrook. In fact, I think they need to do the complete opposite and keep him around this season. But after next season though, the motherfucker can walk. I could honestly care less. Now here's the thing, I will never doubt LeBron James. I don't care how old he is. He's like Tom Brady. You do not doubt Tom Brady whatever situation is. Man, yes, he just lost 2 straight games in a row, but best believe when the playoffs come around, he's gonna dominate, and that team will probably make the Super Bowl. So when it comes playoff time, I honestly do believe that the Lakers will obviously seed, and I think that they might make it to a couple rounds. However, when you run into a team like Golden State, Phoenix, maybe even like Denver or Utah, you're gonna have struggles. Every time the Lakers and Suns play, it's a good matchup, but right now at this very moment, and even at the start of the season, the Suns were a better team than the Lakers. Last year when the playoffs started, I feared for the Suns. I was like, we're gonna lose, there's no way we win this series. However, if we went into a series this year versus the Lakers, I am a lot more confident than I was last year. I don't know how you somehow create a quote-unquote super team and your team gets worse. I'm sorry, but the Lakers team last year was so much better than this team. That Lakers team where the Lakers had Kobe Bryant, I think Pau Gasol, Steve Nash, who was a little old, players like that, Dwight Howard. You cannot just throw names on a team and expect it to work out. And the funny thing is that I'm not even going to discredit LeBron, or I'm not even going to say that LeBron James should have his legacy ruined because of this, because a lot of people try to suggest at the beginning of the season, oh, if they don't win the championship, LeBron James's legacy is going to go down. No, he's still the second or third best player in the league. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit of a LeBron James hater, but there's no way whatsoever that I'm going to let people try to justify LeBron James having a bad year this year, and even if they make it past the first or second round and they don't do well after, because their mindset is championship or bust, if LeBron James does not win a championship this year, that it should affect his legacy and he will no longer be seen as potentially to be the GOAT or a top player of all time. I don't care if the motherfucker went 0-82 and man shot 0% from the field this entire year while playing all 82 games. LeBron James will always be a top 5 player. However, Russell Westbrook is gonna look very bad. And a lot of people might be saying, why are you hating on Russell Westbrook and like all this and that? The thing is, I'm not trying to hate on Russell Westbrook. When you make a point though about the Lakers that a lot of people thought were very dumb, like, oh, this team's not a super team, this and that, and you end up proving them wrong, yeah, I got a little bit to say about Russell Westbrook, and I can prove that I was right. Everything about this Lakers team that is going on right now, I predicted months ago. When it wasn't popular to hate on the Lakers and say that, oh, this team was not a super team, I was one of the only people on the internet that was saying, this is not a super team, this team is not going to do well. Because I see past the bullshit, and I look at the straight up basketball mindset, and when it comes to basketball, I'm sorry, this team does not make sense playing together. All the roasting I've been doing in this video about Russell Westbrook and the Lakers, all of that aside, I gotta say that this team should not have even been created in the first place. The Lakers had one problem, just one tiny problem, which was 3-point shooting, which you could have easily gotten for cheap. But instead, you let Alex Caruso, who's a pretty good 3-point shooter and a pretty good rotation player, if you ask me, you let him walk to the Chicago Bulls. You see how they're one of the best teams in the East right now. You let KCP and Kyle Kuzma go, which I mean, I think we all thought was a good decision at the time, but you didn't get any 3-point shooting in return. Like, damn, could you have at least thrown in like maybe David Bertans on top of Russell Westbrook, and you guys could have gave up maybe like a first rounder or something like that? But no, you got Russell Westbrook, which was the complete opposite of what you needed, and now look how that's going for you. I think if the Lakers wouldn't have cleaned house, then maybe they would have gotten rid of guys like Kyle Kuzma and KCP in return for even pieces like David Bertans, not even touching Russell Westbrook, or trading for a guy like maybe Landry Shamet, which the Suns ended up doing later on during the draft night, but regardless, just a guy that was a straight up 3-point shooter. Or maybe even making an effort for a guy like Duncan Robinson. You needed 3-point shooting and you completely avoided that. Did the Lakers even draft like a player that could shoot threes? I have no idea. And yes, I'm gonna keep saying the same thing I say, and every time I make a hot take about a player or a team, yes, it is a long season, and I do understand that the Lakers have so much potential to be really good. However, when it becomes so apparent that the Lakers might not actually be as good as we thought, yeah, it's probably gonna get brought up just a little bit by every single media outlet because this team was really hyped up. It's kind of like Madden or 2K comes out and it ends up being a really terrible game, and now we're all pissed off because we paid this much attention to a game that's ass. However, both these things are common because Madden or 2K could update their game and the Lakers could update their roster. When LeBron was in Cleveland, he tried the same experiment getting guys like Derrick Rose and Dwayne Wade and Isaiah Thomas and even Jay Crowder. It did not work out, and he ended up trading almost every single guy on that roster by the trade deadline. And Dwayne Wade and LeBron James were pretty good friends, and I don't think Dwayne Wade had any harsh feelings. They got him to Miami, that's how we got the whole farewell tour by Dwayne Wade. But I think we have to ask, is it possible if LeBron James would be willing to trade Russell Westbrook at the deadline? In my head, I cannot think of a trade destination for Russell Westbrook unless somehow the Philadelphia 76ers come out and say, hey, we'll give you Ben Simmons for Russell Westbrook, and the Lakers end up taking it. At this point, Ben Simmons needs to get out of Philadelphia and Russell Westbrook needs to get out of LA, so it's a perfect sense. Except the whole rant in my video I've been making about the Lakers not being able to shoot, that would kind of basically be me being a hypocrite, so maybe the trade should not happen. Regardless, I'm sure there's a team out there that is willing to trade for Russell Westbrook in his $44 million contract. That's a whole lot of baggage for an ex-girlfriend that can only perform for 2 months. Anyways, if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you do leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel for you to turn on the post notifications. This was a different style of a video, not gonna lie. I really don't do these types of videos. I try to make these as much news friendly and as much like statistic basketball knowledge possible, but this one, I don't know, I got a little carried away. I decided to make a little roast session. Anyways, if you guys enjoy it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Peace.